blown out of proportion. How much will pollution play a part at next year's Beijing Olympics? Still cutting it, why Canada's love affair with ice hockey shows no signs of thawing. And how Spain's current crop of basketball superstars are slam dunking America's game. Welcome to Sportsworld, Al Jazeera's regular look at sport on every continent. I'm Joanna Gajarowska. The organisers of next year's Summer Olympics in the Chinese capital Beijing are claiming theirs will be the best ever. That prediction may turn out to be correct, but one persistent issue threatens to overshadow the success of the Games literally. Air pollution is a huge problem in Beijing, and no one can say for sure yet what its impact will be, as Wayne Hay now reports.
A Beijing sunset is a sight to behold, but sadly its beauty is enhanced by heavy air pollution. This is one of the most polluted cities in the world. There are many culprits: heavy traffic, factories and thousands of construction sites kicking up choking dust. And that dust is what you first notice in the air. It's the byproduct of China's economic boom.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
And these are the people who are nervously keeping an eye on the situation. The International Olympic Committee.
That is a concern. That is a concern, definitely. You know, this country goes through an enormous economic boost, you know, with double-digit growth figures, you know, for a couple of years now already. This leads to an enormous construction. There's some 4,000 or 5,000, you know, construction sites here in Beijing, which of course causes dust.
During the bid process, Beijing officials promised to have the situation under control by the start of the Games. And just over 14 months away from the opening ceremony, they maintain they're on the right track.
How can you promise the world that come August next year, the pollution will be under control?
Our air quality is improving greatly compared with 1995. In 1995, there were only 100 days that could reach the state standard level 2. And now in 2006, we had 238 days that reached the national standard level 2. So that's an improvement. And this year, we're still working hard on stressing air quality control. And next year, we will exert new measures for air improvement.
We are in the phase of discussing with them the contingency plans, because that is required. And you know, there they go really into detail. We've had meetings with their experts, and they use a lot of people from abroad for this, which is a good thing too. And we feel confident at this moment. We feel confident, you know, that the athletes can perform here in a good environment.
The contingency plans may include simply shutting down heavy industry during the Games and taking millions of vehicles off the streets. Ironically though, during the IOC's visit, the skies were relatively clear. When they left, the heavy pollution descended again. But put the problems with air quality and traffic congestion aside, the IOC doesn't need to search too hard to get a preview of how successful the Games of the 29th Olympiad could be. To see this stadium firsthand, it is truly quite amazing. It's still very much a construction zone, but it is a main Olympic stadium like we've never seen before. And if this is anything to go by at all, come August next year, when the world will be watching, Beijing looks set to turn on something quite special. The construction of facilities has caused problems of a different kind. Chinese organisers leapt out of the gates so early that the IOC told them to slow down.
Because otherwise it would have been ready this year, and they didn't plan totally what that would cost, because a lot of maintenance, obviously, when you're too early. So now virtually everything will be ready by the end of 2007. That is perfect for us. Test events take place already this year, a lot of them. The stadium will be ready on the 31st of March next year, which is 2 months before the test event for the athletics. So, you know, as far as the venues is concerned, which is always the most important thing, there is nothing to worry about.
But there is apparently a difference of opinion and a clash of cultures when it comes to how fast things should be moving.
The IOC has set construction procedures to follow. They want things to go on schedule, step by step, so that they can cooperate with us and make coordination easier. And in the past, it has always been on time with the construction timeline. This time, we are moving too fast for them to catch up. It doesn't mean we are doing inferior construction, but it means that we are more efficient than our predecessors.
What you're doing here with the Olympic Games and how you are doing it, is it a lesson to the rest of the world that China and I guess the rest of Asia can do things very quickly and very efficiently?
Recently, China is developing very fast, and our economy is growing fast, and our city administration and construction is moving very smoothly. So the speed for us to construct venues is just in accordance with our city construction and city management. So we're not consciously doing it to set examples for the world to learn from us. It's just because we do it in accordance with our whole city plan.
Their Games plan is to stage a spectacular Olympics, but by August 2008, the world's athletes in particular will be happy if the sunsets are a little less spectacular. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
If you're a basketball fan, you'll know which country boasts the current World Championship title. If not, you may be guessing the United States or perhaps Serbia or Argentina. But you'd be wrong. Spain is the new #1 in the game, and as Al Jazeera's Carrie Brown reports, Spanish players are in big demand in the world's best league, the NBA.
Basketball is considered a sport dominated by the North Americans, yet the last World Championship final boasted 2 European sides. Greece the favourites after knocking the US out in the last 4, while Spain were forced to go into the final without their top player. NBA All-Star Pau Gasol broke his foot in the semi-final against Argentina. Spain, however, were quick to prove they do not rely on the talents of one man alone. Jorge Garbajosa and Juan Carlos Navarro inspiring their side, recording 20 points apiece to sweep aside Greece 70-47.
It's a day to remember for the rest of my life, a historic day. I always joke with Pau that he didn't win the World Championships because he wasn't in the final, so he didn't win. When you win it, in the moment, you don't realize what you've done. And when you return to Spain and see all the people who watched and cried with us and laughed with us, all the emotion of the day, it's a great day.
A great day, but this was no overnight success. In Spain, football is king. But at the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, it was basketball that made the headlines. The dream team, led by Irvin Magic Johnson, Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, catching the imagination of a generation.
The Dream Team had an influence on everyone. They were a team of stars that knew where they were going and what they wanted, and above all, they were winners. And Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan have been my idols since I was young.
Joan Montes coached Barcelona in the late 1990s and gave both Navarro and Gasol their first team debuts. He believes the Dream Team helped push Spanish basketball into the professional era.
In that moment, when the Dream Team came over, everybody bought tickets to see them, more than the Spanish team. People started talking about basketball. It was good for the children to see the basketball games. Basketball gained a following, and that pushed the sport forward.
4 of the world champions now play in the NBA. Jose Calderon and Jorge Garbajosa are key players for the Toronto Raptors. Garbajosa, a senior international, witnessed at first hand the rise of one crop of players dubbed the Golden Generation.
There are a generation of players like Calderon, Navarro, Felipe Reyes, who won the Junior World Championship. And after this, I mean, Spain showed to everybody that he can beat the best teams in the world. And now with help of other players like Carlos Jimenez or me, which are a little bit older, I think we got a very good team. When we play with the national team, all the country follow us, everybody's watching our games, and this is really important for us, and we feel very proud of all of this.
Garbajosa's Raptors teammate Chris Bosh was a member of the US team who had to settle for bronze at the World Championships. The all-star power forward admits his team were aware of the threat Spain posed before the championship.
I knew they had a good team from the get-go, you know, just watching them since around like 2002. Yeah, they had Paul Gasol, you know, that always helps, and we knew they were one of the favorites coming into the Worlds, and you know, I'm sure they're going to be a favorite in the Olympics coming up too.
Like Garbajosa, both Juan Carlos Navarro and Fran Vasquez were drafted by the NBA. But they caused shock, even outrage in the US, by deciding to remain with their Spanish club, FC Barcelona. Vasquez, who was drafted by the NBA's Orlando Magic, stayed in Spain for personal reasons, but believes some players fear failure in America.
The NBA is a very important league, but players go there and see a totally different style of basketball, and they fear that they can't make it, so they stay here. As part of the second best league in the world, where everything is familiar.
Barcelona's basketball team boasts two of the major names in Spanish basketball, but with their NBA counterparts being paid almost 2/3 more, the question is how long can they realistically stay in this team?
Since Pau went over to the NBA, he's been trying to get me over there, telling me that I can play in the NBA. Last year I played well in the Spanish league. I was the MVP. But before then, I wasn't sure of going over there. Now I feel I'm a much better, more mature player.
Navarro features alongside football superstar Ronaldinho to promote Barcelona's club brand, but claims that basketball is starting to compete with football in Spain appears wide of the mark.
Football here, it's very important, and even if basketball now it's increasing, I don't think that it will be like football. It's quite difficult.
I like more basketball, but it's not like football.
One visiting American college basketball player expected the sport to have a higher profile.
I thought I was actually going to see it more because I've heard that Spain is more interested in basketball than some other European countries, that I haven't seen it a lot, and then kind of you'll see the basketball courts on the street and people are playing soccer on them.
Spanish basketball has been criticised for lacking the slam dunk showmanship of the NBA. Navarro admits the Europeans' attachment to fundamental team play is less spectacular.
Physically, they're incredible. They do things there that over here we say, how can they jump like that? How can they do those things? But sometimes it's not just about that. There are times when you have to play a more tactical game and think much more inside the court. And I think we've grown a lot and really know how to play now. There are players in the EuroLeague who are really brilliant like that. Not me though, because I'm not a good jumper.
In fact, it was Spain's defensive teamwork and tactical rotations that led to World Championship success. In contrast, the American national team has been criticised in recent years for focusing its play around the individual exploits of a few star players, a strategy that no longer guarantees them international success. NBA scouts certainly don't appear to be turned off by Spain's conservative play.
We've had more and more scouts coming to see us in the Spanish Cup. People follow our progress in the playoffs and the regular league because they know there are good players here as well.
Spain's golden generation is steadily and perhaps inevitably being drafted into the NBA, but their legacy is expected to last long after their departure. Carrie Brown, Al Jazeera, Barcelona.
Well, there you go. FC Barcelona not just good at football. As ever, you can keep up to date with all the latest sports news on our website, aljazeera.net/English. And we'll be back with more of Sports World after the break, including
2, 1, jump.
Why legendary Austrian thrill seeker Fearless Felix is embarking on his latest challenge.